He's not yet a day old, and already he is alone in this world. The mother had been watching this nest from a distance. She waited for the moment the eggs were left unguarded, slipped her own egg in exactly then, and flew off, never to return. She won't see if the chick survives, whether he gets enough food, what he grows up to become. She doesn't need to. Blind, without a single feather, he finds leverage in a strange hollow on his own back, as if nature left it there for exactly this purpose. By evening, he is the only one left in the nest. The female common cuckoo has never had a mate. A male and female meet once, mate, and part ways forever. Where she lays her egg, he will never know. Each holds a separate territory. He keeps the singing ground, the one where that famous cuckoo rings out, warning other males to stay away. For centuries, people have asked the cuckoo to call out how many years they have left to live. But those two notes were never meant for us. It's someone else's conversation we happen to overhear. The male is simply marking his boundary, with no idea that someone in the bushes is counting his calls. She holds her own territory too, one filled with other birds' nests, which she watches for weeks, sometimes chasing off rival females after the same targets. By the time she's ready to lay her egg, she already carries one tool of deception that has nothing to do with the egg or the nest at all, her own appearance. The barred plumage across her chest makes her look like a sparrowhawk, a predator, small birds' fear. Great tits, a species the cuckoo never even parasitizes, flinch at her silhouette, almost as if it were the real thing. Then, once the egg is already sitting in the nest, the female lets out a sharp, bubbling call, which seems strange. Why give yourself away right after the theft? But hosts who hear that call are more likely to accept the planted egg than those who don't. The same deception works twice. First, it scares the host away from the nest, then it dulls their guard toward whatever's left inside it. Female common cuckoos are split into distinct lines, each specializing in a single host species. Some spend their whole lives laying eggs only in reed warbler nests, others only in meadow pipit nests, others only in redstart nests. And each line lays an egg of a specific color and pattern, its own version of a forgery tailored to that one victim. Scientists discovered this division decades ago, and they're still finding new details in it, down to the exact gene responsible for eggshell color. How good the forgery is depends entirely on how vigilant the host is. For the reed warbler and the redstart, the cuckoo's egg is copied almost perfectly, right down to the size and placement of the speckles, because these hosts inspect their clutch closely and rarely miss a substitution. But for the dunnock, the cuckoo doesn't bother faking anything at all. Her egg is beige, densely speckled, sitting right next to the host's plain pale blue eggs, and sharing nothing with them in color. The trickster simply doesn't try where the victim isn't checking. For a long time, it was believed that the female chooses a suitable nest herself, inspecting the host's egg color in advance to better match her own. But recent video observations have cast doubt on that. Some scientists now argue the female lays her egg without evaluating what's already in the nest at all. And this remains a live debate between different research groups. If that's true, the match isn't made at the moment of laying, but much earlier. It's already built into the very line the female belongs to, before she even starts searching for a nest. The chick's advantage is built into the egg itself. Its shell is noticeably thicker than a host egg of the same size, and that speeds up hatching by half a day to a day and a half. While the host chicks are still inside their shells, the cuckoo chick is already outside. Already bigger and stronger than any future nestmate. Here's how he uses that head start. Bracing against the hollow on his back, he wedges it under the first foreign egg. It gives way almost immediately and rolls over the edge of the nest. The second is heavier. He has to push longer, slip, start over. By the third, he's already moving slower, as if running out of strength, but he keeps going, without stopping, until the nest is completely empty. If he weren't at least a little bigger than the host chicks, He simply wouldn't have had the strength for any of this. And the instinct driving him doesn't last long. 4 days after hatching, it disappears completely. And if a foreign chick is still in the nest by then, it stays there. In other words, the cuckoo chick has a strictly measured window in which everything must be decided. And everything about him is built to make sure he gets it done in time. So far, this has all been about the chick. But the adult cuckoo is built differently from the birds around her too. Her main prey is hairy caterpillars covered in stiff bristles that puncture the stomach lining of most birds from the inside. Almost every species avoids them, but not the cuckoo. Before swallowing, she nicks the caterpillar open at one end with her beak and shakes out the contents, where most of the toxins are concentrated. The bristles that do make it inside build up in her stomach over time into a dense felted layer, and when that layer starts interfering with digestion, the cuckoo sheds the entire stomach lining at once, coughing it up in a single pellet. Then grows a new one. So even in what she eats, she's a specialist where everyone else prefers not to take the risk. But every narrow specialty has a price. One of the main caterpillars in her diet, the woolly bear of the garden tiger moth, has dropped by 92% over recent decades. A species too well adapted to a single prey becomes vulnerable exactly when that prey starts to disappear. For a long time, it was believed that the cuckoo chick's main trick was its wide-open, bright red mouth, that the sight of it alone drove foster parents to feed non-stop. But when scientists tested this directly, painting host chicks' mouths the same bright red, nothing changed. The parents fed them no more than usual. The real weapon turned out to be sound, not sight. The cuckoo chick gives a rapid staccato call, and its tempo is almost indistinguishable from that of an entire brood of 3 or 4 host chicks calling at once. When researchers played this call next to a single foreign chick, the foster parents fed it as if the whole clutch were still in the nest. But the trick isn't universal. With some hosts unfamiliar with this particular cuckoo lineage, the same call unexpectedly backfired. The parents fed the chick less often, not more. The deception only works where a specific cuckoo line has a long shared history with that exact host. While the foster parents feed at the very edge of their strength, deceived by that call, the chick grows at a frightening rate, from a few grams to 80 to 100 in just 2 to 3 weeks, already many times heavier than the parents themselves. By the time he's ready to leave the nest, he no longer physically fits inside it. He has to sit hunched over, and the parents climb onto his back just to reach his open mouth. He fledges around the 3rd week, but the feeding continues for several more weeks after. While already many times larger than either of them, he learns to fly and hunt. The call keeps sounding convincing, and they keep feeding him. There's one host the cuckoo doesn't even bother deceiving, the dunnock. Scientists estimate the cuckoo has parasitized this species for centuries, and in all that time, the dunnock still hasn't learned to reject a foreign egg. She accepts it in 94 to 98% of cases, even when it looks nothing like her own. Her eggs are plain, solid blue. The cuckoos are beige with dense speckling, sitting right next to each other in the same nest. It's not that the dunnock can't see the difference. In other cuckoo hosts, the reed warbler, the redstart, that exact same color mismatch triggers near total rejection. The dunnock simply lacks the behavioral link, seeing the foreign object and reacting to it. One theory is that the species is simply stuck at an earlier stage of this centuries-long arms race, never having evolved a response to a deception that has followed her all this time. This is the strangest turn in the whole story. Not blindness, but a caregiving instinct that doesn't know how to say no, even when the deception is lying right in front of her. By autumn, the adult cuckoos have already left for Africa, long before the young bird is even ready to leave the nest. When her time comes, she sets out alone, with no guide from any elder, neither blood nor foster. The route across half a continent and the Sahara is built into her from the start, and no one ever taught her to fly it. And the route itself decides who makes it. Satellite tracking, has shown that British cuckoos fly to Africa along one of two paths, through Spain or through Italy, and the birds that take the western route through Spain die on the way significantly more often than those flying through Italy. For part of the population, the inherited path itself literally leads to death more often than for others. And this may be one reason why, since the early 1980s, Britain's cuckoo population has dropped by 65%. Somewhere out there, thousands of kilometers away, lives the one who once laid this egg and flew off without looking back. Scientists who track birds just like her give them names: Chris, Rob, Wilfred, and know more about each one than she will ever know about her own chick. She doesn't need that knowledge. Nature made a bird that eats what none of her neighbors dare to, deceives like no one else can, and never comes back to see what became of her own offspring.